Good evening, guys. Welcome to the Rambling Men. My name is Isaac. I'm joined by
Jake,
Travis,
Josh. We didn't do that in the last
I know.
I was just thinking.
Oh my gosh! I made a point to do it this time.
I thought about that in the episode.
What's funny is I'm pretty sure we did say everybody's name though.
We did.
I noticed that about 3/4 of the way through. I was like, wait, are we actually like using our names like regularly, like normal people?
we're just
Instead of you, like yeah. We didn't do the. Oh my gosh.
Anyways, I'm gonna be the
I'll
host
just steal
today.
one from a different episode and like, slap it in.
We'll be like, why is there such a big cut there? Why does it not match up?
Why is it all quiet for like 30 seconds afterwards? Anyway.
I'll be your host today. We're gonna try and have a little bit more of a short episode, but a more serious topic. Not too much deep. Yeah, that would be the word. But before we get into it, we're going to give a couple announcements and give you guys a rundown on what the next couple episodes will look like. We're going to take a break. We've been recording regularly and uploading regularly. But we're going to leave with like some goals and to piggyback off of the last episode with Travis. Set ourselves goals while we're taking a break, and then come back and pick up off of that. Josh, did you want to go into what our next episode, like our season finale, is going to look like?
Yeah, so our season finale is going to be a little bit different. It's something that we wanted to give you guys a heads up on because we want you guys involved. So our usual go-to is that we're all just kind of chilling together, semicircle style around our microphone. And what's actually going to happen for the season finale is that we are doing a one-off D&D story campaign together. So it's going to be a couple hours, and we're actually going to film it. So we're going to show you our beautiful faces. Well, at least, 3 out of the 4 of us. I'm not going to claim that for me. But we're going to show you their beautiful faces, and I'll be somewhere up on the screen too. And we're going to go through this story campaign together and I don't know, probably battle monsters or whatever you do in D&D, because I've never played before. So I've never actually done any campaign stuff like this before.
got some newbies.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let
scrub.
I'm not gonna let part of that slide. I like your face, Josh.
I do too.
Aww. You like my face?
Yeah. I like to think positive and encourage that with others.
I accept. All right. I'll go.
Pleasant face to be around.
No. All right, fine. I'm cute and adorable. Jeez.
There you go. That's better.
Okay, all right.
Say it with a smile.
So part of the reason that we're taking a break is because, like Isaac said, we've been recording regularly. We've been uploading. 3 of us have small littles. The other one has school and several jobs that he goes to. So we're busy. I mean, just as any normal American person, but we're busy to the point where we're starting to notice that we haven't had the chance to make time to just hang out. And while this is fun, and while this is engaging for us as a team, it's something that we just want to make sure that we're reconnecting and both being spiritually locked in together, but also just being able to go outside and have fun. It's warm right now, and then if you live in the Midwest or anywhere up in the North, you kind of know. You take advantage of the warm days when you can, because they don't always exist. So we are going to take a bit of a break and just go do some running or play some soccer, or go pickleball or disc golf, or who knows, maybe we'll even just do some bonfires and some music or something like that. But we're gonna go chill for a little while, and then we're gonna come back a little bit later, a couple months, and y'all shouldn't experience too much of a gap there because we are actually recording a little bit in advance from when we upload. So we'll be able to continue doing that for season 2 as well. But season 2 is already in the works. We are crafting a couple things that we're changing, crafting a couple things that we want to do better, and more importantly, we are all writing down unique topics that we are potentially going to bring to the table. So
we are.
That's kind of the MO of what's going on, and we're going to go hang out, regroup, and reconnect over over some fun things over summer, and then we'll be back to connect with you guys again. Back to you, host.
Host.
So my topic is good. Perseverance and change. The definition of good is to be desired or approved of. That is one of the definitions, and not the all end all be all. My topic came about while I was at a work dinner. We were sitting around the table, and for a little bit of backstory on how this situation came about, I felt like over the course of the last 3 or 4 months, potentially even longer, that something at my company was going to change, and we all weren't going to like it right off the bat. But I had an overwhelming feeling that it was going to be good. And a couple months go by. I'm like, okay, when is this going to pop off? When is this actually going to start happening? Because we're starting to succeed. We're starting to get after it. Things are starting to go well. We do our little serve project. We go out to eat. And Dan comes up to the table. Dan is our manager. Dan comes up to the table. And I'm a couple drinks in. And I'm like, I know what's going to happen. He's going to come up and drop some news on me. Now, he didn't know this, but I already had an inkling. I kind of knew what was going to happen. He got transferred to the largest portion of our company. We all love Dan and we all want him to stay and we fight for him. But we don't want him to go. I mean, like, we're family. We spend so much time together. But I was thinking of topics that whole week, and when he actually gave us the news, there were a couple of us, including myself, who teared up a little bit because I definitely don't want the man who helped change my life to go and work in a different building. But it's for the better. It's where God has planned. He brought a bunch of turds together and polished us into something valuable.
That's quite the jab.
You what?
I was just saying that's quite the jab.
And that's where the topic went. That's where the topic came from for today. We're just going to go through and give different stories on when a situation popped up where change happened and a little bit of perseverance happened and it turned out to be good. We now have more of our team being split off as well. My two other closest friends, Ty and Cody, are also being offered other jobs at other portions of our company. Hints here or there at expansion down south. They've been asked, how willing are you to move with your family, to relocate? And that's coming from the CEO and the COO, the two top dogs of our company. And I don't want to see them leave. We've been friends for so long, and these men have changed my life. But stuff like that, where your first knee-jerk reaction is like, oh no, I don't want this to happen. But when you persevere a little bit longer, you're like, oh no, this situation is good. I've given my first little story. If you guys want to give a story and we can go down the line, I can give another story if we want, just so you guys have more time to think about an explanation in your life. I also wanted to go over just the definition of those two words because I like defining fancy words. Change, the act or instance of making or becoming different. Perseverance. Perseverance is doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. I feel like when I define certain words or look up the official definition, it isn't always the way I see it, or it helps understand. Because a lot of times I look at stuff for face value and not what it actually means. I read the Bible that way a lot sometimes. I just read it at face value and don't dig in enough past that surface level.
So you're specifically looking for a story where something was brought to you and it didn't initially feel like a good thing and then changed to a good thing. Okay.
Jake, you have something?
Yeah. Just unsure of how much I want to share. Just thinking of this topic automatically makes me think of a Bible verse that's been on my mind a lot. Verses James 1, 2 through 4.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I think this was a life changer for me. But yeah. I'll just read. Count it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Yeah. I don't know. Come back to me on that.
I went to school for ministry. I went to a very religious college that had a lot of people that saw their way as the right way. And I asked questions a lot. I constantly poked and prodded the methods that were being used, not because I wanted them to be different, not because I said that they were wrong, but because I believe in the idea that if you can't poke and prod an idea without it falling apart, I mean, let me reword that. If you cannot poke and prod an idea without it crumbling on its own foundation, then you really don't have an idea. I think you need to be able to defend it. It needs to be able to stand up. And if it doesn't, you need to know why, so that you can fix it and be able to change it. That's how I believe you should be able to defend your lifestyle choices, especially in ministry. And so I would poke and prod, and I would expect these tenured professors to be exceptional at shutting me down. Like, that's really what I expected, of just saying, oh, yeah, well, what about this? And they would say, well, that doesn't work because ... And that's why. And I'd be like, oh, okay, great. I have my why now. Now I know exactly why we do this instead of the other thing. And what ended up happening instead was that I was told to stop asking questions. I was actually pulled out of my normal day-to-day. Shortly after one of my classes, the professor just grabbed me aside and he was like, hey, I need to talk to you. Let's go to my office right now. And I was like, okay. And we sat and talked, and he basically said straight up, like, hey, you're just a disruptive influence. You need to stop asking these sort of questions within class. And for me, I was sitting there going, well, if I don't ask the question, nobody else seems to. This is my my third year into this program. And nobody seems to be asking these sort of questions in these upper level classes. And so when he said, hey, don't ask this, I pressed in a little bit. I was like, okay, like, what do you need me to do? Like, I still got to ask these questions. And he basically just flat out said, like, no, if you question what we're teaching, then you're really questioning authority, and you need to respect authority according to Scripture. And I was like, ooh, wait a minute. That's even worse than some fragile idea. That's a very strong idea that is wrong. Like, that's not how this is supposed to go down. And that was kind of the first indicator, and like 100 other things fell in line right behind it, especially in my last year there. And it turned into this overwhelming barrage that said that Josh Ratliff was not one of us. And it was like every class, every group. I was always that kid on the outside edge with no intention of being that kid. I just wanted to learn something that was foundationally true and could not be shaken. And so I tried to shake it. And when it fell apart, people would glare at me. And I'd be like, what? It's not my thing that I broke. Like, what's wrong with you guys? You should be able to defend this. Like, what are you talking about? If you can't actually show me that this works in the real world, or if you can't actually tell me why this is better than something else, then maybe it's not. And maybe we should be asking if something is better. Maybe we should be wondering if we can do these sort of things in addition. And I remember it kind of climaxed at graduation ceremony, where I realized how isolated I was. 2 weeks before, I was in class, and our professor had said anytime that we do in-class work, he was going to put on music. And at the beginning of this semester, we did a list of like, everybody just wrote a band down, and he would pick from those bands and just play them. And he said, don't put a name down for who said what. Like, we're not playing any sort of favorites or any sort of games like that. Just give me a list of bands. We'll play them eventually. Maybe your band will be picked. And I have an eclectic mix, and so I decided I'll whip out one of my weird ones just for fun. And I picked one that writes like thematic video scores. And so like it was very dramatic, very big, like battle music sort of stuff. And I thought it would be fun. And that week, 2 weeks before graduation, he stopped everything at the beginning of class and he said, okay, so we're going to play some music today. And I couldn't help it. I had to look this one up, and when I did, I needed to know who wrote this down. And as soon as he said that, I knew it was mine. I knew it was mine. Dang. And get this is the same prof that pulled me aside and told me stop questioning things.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I need to know who selected this music. And he said the band name. And I very confidently and very proudly, because I had it at that point, I was so upset at how the ministry program was treating certain individuals. And I proudly raised my hand and I was like, yep, that's me. And he's like, okay, well, I'm still going to play one of them because I was intrigued and I wanted to show the rest of the class this band. So we are going to play one of them, but then we might switch to something a little bit easier to run with for like the homework stuff we're working on. And I was like, okay, that's reasonable. That's fine. I'm not offended by any means. He plays it, and immediately, like within a minute of it playing, one guy in the back looks over and he's like, oh, this explains why you're so intense.
Jeez.
And I was like, bro, I listen to this like once in a blue moon. I know about this music, but I barely listen to this. And I, like, literally all I did was I just smiled and was like, yep. And I moved on. And I, like, play it off. It doesn't matter. But it stung so bad. And when we got to graduation, there was somebody that I had looked up to basically the whole time that we were in ministry school together. I just thought he was a really cool guy that actually got ministry and actually cared. And so I was thinking, like, man, if ever there's a time where, you know, we go out into the real world, I would want to connect with that guy as somebody that keeps me accountable in ministry. And I happened to be standing right behind him for our walk into the actual building. And he just turns around and he looks at me and he's like, you know, I really misjudged you at first. You're actually a pretty decent guy. And then turns back around and, like, immediately everything in my soul was just crushed. Because, like, the day of graduation is when that guy decided, yeah, you're an okay person. And I had spent hours of class time with this person, right? And I thought I was doing a decent job of being a diligent Christian in a lot of aspects. And he looked at me and said, yeah, You're not some crazy dark emo kid in the corner. Good for you. And I was like, man. And that was the moment that I was notified that my ministry experience was never going to look like what I had thought it was going to be. Like, I both knew it mentally and spiritually. That was the moment that I keep looking back to and say, you will never be in the same coast down the river leading a church sort of ministry that you thought that was going to happen. It's not, you're not there. You're not that person. And as much as I would have enjoyed being able to just lead and just care for a particular group of people, it's not my calling, and it's not what's supposed to be in my life. And it has taken a very long time of wrestling with that to actually realize that I'm okay with it. There's still days that I'm wondering if I'm okay with it, but I have been pushed down and mentally beat up by a dozen different church leaders in the process of me just being different and trying my best to fit into their culture and fit into their world and still poke and prod and ask the right questions of, hey, are we doing this the way that Christ wanted? And I've been beat up so many times that I have every right to look at the church and say, you know what? Screw you guys. Like, I'll do the God thing, but I'm not going to do the church thing. And I think that's part of the reason why God has me for what he has me for. And it can't be what I thought it was going to be. So that level of change that was offered to me still hurts, right? Like, there's still a part of my soul that really wishes that I could just walk into a pastorate position and do that. Like, that's really where a lot of... it still stings. Because that's still part of what I wish was in the cards. And realizing that change was going to happen the way that it was going to happen sucked. And it has sucked over multiple instances since then. But we're like just starting to crest over the top of that hill and say, like, okay, we're starting to see why. We're starting to see the need for you to not be that normal, right? To not be the kid that actually blended in with everybody else. And so, yeah, that's the first story that comes to mind. It's the one that makes my soul bleed the most.
Speaking of stuff that still stings. Yeah. Just going back to James 1 and how that changed my life. And just very long story short, just how
It's okay, take your time.
basically how I think God grabbed me before anything could happen. Just talking about change and perseverance, that's just what comes to my mind. I can't think of anything else. Just a change of mental health, and still stings, but we're out of the deepest parts, but there's still some low parts. But yeah, long story short, God is good, and we're still here.
forgot what I was gonna say.
My bad, Drew.
Captured all my focus and attention with that. Wow, how do I follow that up?
With whatever's honest.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if I can like honorably follow that up, but what I was gonna say is to what Josh was saying. Like it's crazy how you know, when people are supposed to be working together as a team, and especially people who call themselves Christians or, you know, people in ministry, one would think that they would have like Christian values, and sometimes it's just hard to wrap my mind around, like, you know, Christians are supposed to be loving, and I think a big part of being a Christian is being humble. And when I see a lack of humility in someone who says that they follow God and they realize that they messed up and they're deserving of eternal punishment, but they're seeking His ever-abounding grace, you know, I would expect that person to show a little humility and to not, you know, shut down another person because their ideas are different from theirs. So, just wanted to speak my thoughts about that.
I appreciate it.
Just think how crazy different emotions are from the last podcast.
Yeah.
So I have a story that it's a lot. I don't want to downplay it too much, but it's not like near as severe as some of what my brothers shared. But something that came to mind when Isaac was introducing this topic is when I was, you know, kind of in my late teens, about 10 years ago, which is crazy to think about.
Dang, bro.
I was in my late teens, and I think I was pretty fresh out of high school. I didn't own my own vehicle yet, so I was borrowing one of my parents' vehicles, and I had a full-time job. I already tried a semester of college, and that wasn't working, so I just decided to be working full-time. And the vehicle I was borrowing, not going to slam the make or the model, but it was this minivan, and well, I think it was technically operator error.
Oh boy.
Because one of the drivers of this said minivan, I believe the reason why the minivan had problems is because at one point it ran over some luggage in the road. So,
Right.
yeah. So, you know, because of this cause, the effect was one of the power steering lines got ripped in half. So, you know, I was driving to work one day, and all of a sudden, it became a lot more difficult to steer this vehicle.
Talking about an announcement of change. Surprise!
Surprise! You got to use your muscles in order to not fall in the ditch. So yeah, I managed to make it the rest of the way to work and work my shifts, make it the rest of the way home, and before I made it, or I guess as I made it to work, I just started having all these like overwhelming anxious thoughts, like, oh crap, you know, this vehicle that I'm relying on for my income. At the time, I was trying to move out of my parents' house. You know, I'm trying to start this next chapter of my life into adulthood, and you know, I just started getting like super anxious, like, oh, my world's falling apart. I'm gonna lose my job because I can't drive to work, and I could spare you of like the rest of the anxious thoughts and stuff. But I just remember thinking back on that and how sometimes in life you can kind of come up to an obstacle, and in that moment it can seem like so overwhelming, and depending on the difficulty of the obstacle, like this obstacle, it was just like, okay, take a breath, work your shift, go home, repair your vehicle. But sometimes it might require more aid in helping resolve the issue. But a lot of times it takes, taking a few breaths, taking it one step at a time, and working through the issue until it's resolved. And yeah, I guess that's part of where perseverance speaks to me, is just taking things one step at a time, and kind of not allowing all the anxious thoughts to cloud your judgment.
Just from what you said in the beginning, don't downplay your story.
Yeah, thanks.
Don't compare.
You too might have a cute face.
Everybody's got a different story, and nobody's any better or worse because of them.
Yeah.
I actually just made a video about that.
So nice.
You have a valuable story. It's important.
That was some good stories.
Thanks.
That was exactly where I wanted the episode to go.
Is that it? Are we done?
We still got 10 minutes.
Cut. Wrap. Success.
If we want to do a Michigan goodbye, then we might not have as much time.
I'm from Oklahoma. I can say goodbye.
We're all just like, let's chat a little bit. And Josh's like, bye.
Come with me. We're leaving. You can say goodbye on the phone.
At least you'd be taking me with you. I thought you'd just be like, see a trap.
No. I would kick out the door because you need to go home.
Okay.
I think the last time we tried to leave my parents' house was 40 minutes later than we needed to.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
Midwest goodbyes, dude. They're brutal.
I'd say that's probably average.
I went to take a bathroom break,
Speaking of comparing,
and then she decided that, okay, well, if he's going to be in the bathroom, I'm going to talk for another 35 minutes. I was like, so I got out, and I'm sitting there waiting, and was goodbye.
I have a little bit. It's not really a story, but I'm really glad you decided on perseverance as like one of your ideas for this topic, because that word has just been a big word in my life. Because I know, not trying to compare stories, but I feel like other people have like quote unquote had it worse than me. But each person's entitled to their own story, and what they go through, it's unique to them. And certain people might have quote unquote more mental toughness, but I'm just really glad for the word perseverance and just my drive to pursue that, because I believe it's really something that is necessary in life. Because if you're not persevering, then I feel like life can really knock you down.
Another quick point, not to move on too quickly, but this also could be in the next podcast or whatnot, but just going to change in that word, and just something I heard recently is that comfort is a inhibitor to change. We talked about comfort a little bit in the last podcast, and running and making things harder, and just that can be used in a lot of different things in life and the Christian life. And yeah, change is good. Not all the time, but change can be very good.
Especially changing your underwear.
I just bought some new ones the other day.
Nice.
How often do you buy new underwear?
Well, according to the running story that we got from him.
How often do you need to buy new underwear?
Should we go around the circle? Half circle, how often?
I don't know, I just realized I had a ton of underwear that I didn't, wasn't comfortable for me to wear, so I never wore it. It was or it was the wrong size, the wrong material. And I'm running, I'm lifting, I need it to be comfortable. And I need the right size. Large and medium does not quite cut it.
Size does matter here, yeah.
So, no more Blue's Clues underwear?
I feel like there's a story.
All right, breaks on the story. Hold on. Are you done stalling for time, or do you need more time?
No, I was gonna, I forget who said it, but it was, I'm trying to think of how to word it properly, or how this person said it. Being comfortable is the inhibitor for growth.
I said something a lot like that a few seconds. The lights just blinked.
A lot of times as Americans and as Christians, we get comfortable in a lot more aspects than we like to admit.
You can't do this.
What?
You can't do that. You can't bring up this topic and expect me to be quiet and not make this an hour and a half episode on itself.
I told you it could be a long episode.
You don't understand, though. I've got a very particular direction there. Anyway, I'll shut up now. I'm so sorry for interrupting you.
No, you're good. You're good.
You gotta make me squirm that bad. You go and get interrupted.
How to get more content. Poke Josh on sensitive topics.
I have a lot of soapboxes, man, and they're all really sturdy, because I told you, I poked and prodded all of them.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So Christians and Americans,
we get in this rut of being comfortable, and that inhibits growth more so than we would like to admit. And a lot of times to continue to grow or to get out of that, the best thing to do that is to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, or at least don't shy away from them.
That's a good way of wording that.
I don't remember his name. He does the Words of Wisdom podcast or whatever. He's a European guy, a European podcaster. You'd recognize his face if you saw it. But I forgot which quote I was going to say from him. Oh my gosh, this is so
going really well.
Bro,
I'm not tracking.
No, my train just went off the tracks and down the hill and into the pond, and no hope of getting back.
Tracking Travis isn't tracking.
No.
Come on, tracking Travis, you're supposed to track better than this.
I'm not tracking.
Oh, it was the magic in life that you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding, or the work that you're and he says it differently in a different
Can you say it again?
Yeah, the magic you're looking for in life is in the work that you're avoiding.
Okay.
So a lot of times at work, I take that as the conversations, the phone calls you're avoiding, the not calling your landlord back because you know exactly what he's going to ask you to do. You're already planning on doing it. It's just annoying. Or that conversation, it's I'm stressed out because I'm not doing something that I should have already gotten done. Like mowing my lawn, or getting up at a decent time, or taking the trash out. And I'm like, dude, I am only, the second that I realized that and actually started putting that into place, all of my stress went away. I'm not stressed about the house. I'm not stressed about moving. I'm not stressed because I know that I've already taken care of everything. I know that I've already taken care of the little things that's not going to get in the way. I've already made the phone calls that I didn't want to. I've already had the conversations where people are getting upset for this or that. And I'm like, well, no, actually, you agreed to this already. Having difficult conversations, that sort of stuff. That's all I have for the time that we have allotted.
1 minute. Yeah.
Come check our finale out. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So, just as a heads up to some of the listeners as to why we might be cutting this one off a little bit short, we knew this topic would be a little heavy. We didn't know exactly where Isaac was going with it because we give each host the freedom to talk as much or as little about the topic as they want before bringing it to the actual table. So we didn't know a whole lot about it, and what we ended up deciding is that we wanted to talk through a little bit of the perspective and change idea, but what we're going to do come season 2, the second episode is actually going to be us regrouping on this concept and how we're going to persevere and grow and change together over the next few months that we take off from the podcast. So while you may not see us in person here on the podcast, or hear us, while you may not notice the change right off the bat, we're going to spend purposeful time growing together over the next few months. And on the second episode of the podcast, we'll be able to bring some of that perspective and change and perseverance that has happened during that time and be able to readdress this topic and not just address it in talking about it, but address it in really sinking our teeth into being intentional about it and what did it mean with shared life experience together at that point. So look for the season finale. And then very similarly, look forward to season 2. Like, we've got some good stuff coming. And we're only getting better and better at this. Like, we're figuring out stuff. If you go back and watch some of those early episodes, man, dude, we got some interesting things that happened during those episodes.
This should be the last name that we decided.
The last name. Yep. After rotating a couple.
I did put a comment for that episode.
Oh, excellent.
Just to clarify, we are aware that we used to go under a different name.
Yeah, but
so
that's part of the reason why this one's cutting a little bit short, and we just wanted to make sure that we're doing our due diligence on this topic of actually living it out and not just talking about it, because, you know, we come to this to have fun, and we talk about crazy things sometimes and silly things sometimes, but every once in a while, like, life isn't crazy or silly, it's just tough. It's just a challenge. And so being able to run that challenge through the people that you're close with and being able to walk through life, that's part of what we're here to do. So, yeah. Season 2 coming soon. Big finale coming even sooner. And that's going to be a big deal. So come join us for that and keep rambling on.